Hello and welcome to the Better Back Movement 5-Day Challenge. I'm Dan Winter, and over the next 5 days, I want to completely break down your belief patterns and recreate new ones that are going to serve you and help you go from feeling like you can't get in shape because everything hurts and everything's against you. Your low metabolism, pain and injury. You've tried everything before and things have worked in the past, got you to where you want to be, and for whatever reason, you plateaued, you stopped, and you're back where you are today. So the purpose of this challenge is not to flog you through some exercise and see what amazing results we can get over the 5 days physically, but mentally and emotionally change your perspective and help you make the breakthrough that you've been waiting for. So rather than getting sweaty, puffed out, and winding up in pain over these next 5 days, we're going to go through a short video like this one with a task at the end. The idea is to build skills into new habits, into new routines that you can implement into the rest of your life. These are going to be fundamental foundations for you to create the person that you have to be to achieve your weight loss goals. So soon we're going to get into the biggest breakthrough that I had after years of lower back pain. And tomorrow we're going to get into weight loss, day 3, your training protocols, day 4, your mindset, and day 5, we're going to look at the psychological barriers and how knowledge is one thing, but your emotions are what really drive your actions. So where we can go from day 5 to really make this a lasting change. So a little backstory, like I said, I'm Dan Winter, and I grew up skiing in Tasmania as a kid. When I finished school, I didn't really know what direction I wanted to go. All I knew is I didn't want to wind up sacrificing my health for a whole lot of study to get into a career and climb that corporate ladder. So at age 18, I left for Canada, did a season of skiing, and then in the summer, I became a raft guide. I came back home, still feeling lost. I went and did a few months in New Zealand doing the same thing, and then back to Canada. So I lived this lifestyle of rafting in the summer and skiing in the winter, but I started experiencing lower back pain. And I persevered through kayaking, rafting, mountain biking, and skiing until I ruptured my ACL. And so then I went through this long, slow, tedious process of finding out I didn't have insurance, getting healthcare in Canada, seeing the doctor, x-rays, scans, surgeon appointment, surgeon sends me for an MRI, then the surgery and infection. And during this time, I thought I would find answers to my back, and I spent thousands on chiropractors, acupuncture. So when I found out that my knee surgery was loose, I went back home to Australia. I had it looked at, and a surgeon said he could operate in 6 months. So I used this downtime and the fact that I was frustrated without finding answers from all these people that I was giving money to. So I took it upon myself to study kinesiology and shiatsu. Halfway through that year, right before the knee operation, I signed up for my personal trainer certificate. And that summer, I decided to become a raft guide in Australia. From raft guiding year round, I developed bursitis in my shoulder. And along the way, I found a physio who taught me how to engage my core with my breath. Eventually, after returning to raft guiding, forest firefighting, and ski patrol, then I felt like I had something to teach people, how to prioritize their posture, their core engagement. So piecing this all together, I feel like I had something to teach people as a personal trainer, helping people prioritize their form and their posture. And this is when I came across Maria, age 84, with 5 herniated discs. She'd seen all the specialists. They had her on 16 painkillers a day. And I came across her using the rowing machine in the gym every day, and none of the other trainers would go near her or approach her. Sure, they were friendly, but didn't offer to help her with this situation because she'd seen all these specialists, right? But I could see that she was in a mess. Her knees were knocking together, her hips were tilted forward. I tried to feel for her spine in her lower back, and I was right up to my 3rd knuckle in the back muscles till I could feel the spine. So I taught her to use her breath and engage her core, and with some personal training, she went from 16 painkillers a day to none. So the problem is you get some back pain, and they used to prescribe sit-ups and crunches and planks for your abs. And they found out this doesn't work. They've come up with this concept of the core, But the fitness industry has just taken that buzzword and started calling all the old ab workouts core exercise because it sounds cool and trendy. And we all know that you can't spot reduce belly fat. So these boot camps or ab classes or these jumping up and down HIIT where you're doing sit-ups and planks and crunches, they're exacerbating your back pain and they're not helping you lose fat. So unless you plan on actually losing enough fat to see those muscles and you're going to train them a little bit harder to make them pop just that little bit more, it's quite useless, right? It's not a functional movement to be pulling your head down to your crutch. And then when you do the lower extremity, like those leg raises, lying on your back, flutter kicks, leg raises up and down, all you're doing is reinforcing the tightness in your hip flexors. And this is where the problems really lie. Where they really come from is your hip dysfunction. We spend a lot of time sitting, so we tighten up in the hip flexor. We also hold a lot of emotions in the lower back, and then it's also connected to your, it also runs parallel to your digestive issues. So depending on the level that you look at this, there are varying degrees of what impacts your hip flexors, but your hip flexors join onto the front of your spine, right where the sciatic nerve originates, right where you get arthritis, degeneration. Then you have things on top of that like stenosis, cauda all these conditions around your forward tilting pelvis, the hip flexor attached to the front of your back, and it pulls you in this forward position. So you've got to overcompensate with your lower back, compressing these discs further. So it's not to say a weak core is necessarily the cause of your back pain, but learning to engage your core with your breath is certainly going to give you that stability to be able to work through your hip mobility and finally get yourself out of pain. So you may have done a whole bunch of stretches from the physio before in the past as well, and these aren't working really well. And you know, back in high school, you learn to hold a stretch and count for 30 with a grimace on your face. But in things like yoga, you learn to breathe through it. It's much more about self-awareness. Joseph Pilates cotton onto this. He uses a lot of breathing through his exercise. This is nothing like groundbreakingly new. In yoga, it's your prana center. In Chinese, it's your hara. So they use the same breathing through Tai Chi, karate, all the kung fu, all the martial arts. They're all getting their power from engaging their core. So here's today's task. To do this, you're going to breathe into your collarbones and get as tall as you can, like a big air splint. And when you exhale, you're going to try to squeeze the air out from below your belt buckle. So some people say belly button. I like to go a little bit lower using your belt buckle, and you're trying to draw that to your lower back. So you're not trying to change a lot of shape, but there is going to be some subtle difference, and it's going to affect your knees as well. So this is going to be the foundation of what we go into further in terms of your knee pain, and also shoulder pain is linked too. So foundation, breathing into your collarbones, squeeze that air out from below your belt buckle. And you can practice this in your own time in varying positions because they're going to give you different feedback. So from side on, into the collarbone, squeeze the air out from below the belly button. You'll notice your tailbone tuck under a little bit. So if you've done pelvic floor in the past, your pelvic floor is going forwards and your core is kind of going back. So every inhale, I think of rotating my thoracic, my chest area back. And then every exhale, I'm rotating my core back. And you might notice that it opens your hips up, points your knees in the right direction, creates an arch in your feet. So more on this on day 4. So here are some different positions that you can practice engaging your core. You can try these out, see which one gives you the best feedback until you can feel it, and keep practicing that until you get a real grasp of it. And we're going to build on that on day 3. So there are some useful links below. Keep practicing this skill, and we'll see you in tomorrow's video.